The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Politics. I'm Deborah Hutchison in the Rogers TV studio. Our guest this week, joining us via Zoom, is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster, who is wide awake the morning after a very long Durham Regional Council meeting. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And on the wide awake, I may be a wee bit bleary-eyed along with a number of my regional colleagues.
So we are taping this the Thursday morning, October the 29th. Just the day before, you had a council meeting that started at 9:30 a.m. and went all day, and you didn't wrap up until 12:30 this morning.
Yeah, we finished by noting that it was in fact a new day, right? So, it's all good. It was, there were a number of items. Residents needed to be heard. I'm not sure that anyone makes their best decisions when you've been at it that long, but we made it through.
Some very important topics, though, that were on the docket yesterday.
And I'll make the commitment to you that if you bring up important stuff and ask hard questions, I promise not to leave, and I promise not to leak this.
Okay, excellent. Well, among the topics that were discussed yesterday, of course, COVID tops on everybody's minds. And some of your colleagues were demanding, some answers to some very tough questions from from Dr. Kyle, our medical officer of health, and the numbers and the reporting. Did you get all your questions answered?
No, because I think in a number of cases the answers don't exist. I know that there has been frustration with communications. Go figure that governments are struggling with communication, and that's at every level. People understanding that while the COVID cases are going up, we don't appear at this point in time to be anywhere where the healthcare system is going to be overwhelmed, which was the fear back in the spring. Mm-hmm. So the one set of numbers, is important, but they've got to be tempered. Everyone is worried about, going into a stage 2 or a modified stage 2, and we don't have a clear understanding of the metrics that will drive us into that. And again, I don't think a clear defining set exists. So there's a lot of genuine angst, and Dr. Kyle and medical officers of health everywhere are struggling with it, and we're relying on their advice.
Let's talk about COVID and stage 2. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding that, whereas it's our understanding that most of the new cases are from gatherings, personal interactions, and that the businesses are saying, don't punish us. We're doing everything we should be doing, and we're following the protocol. How worried is Clarington's business community?
They're very worried. So, a lot of businesses didn't make it through. Many more businesses made it through, but are really struggling. Another shutdown will put a lot of them right over the edge. And, to a degree, they're 100% correct. So we need to emphasize that, it is an individual responsibility on the COVID. So, wear your mask, please. Wash your hands, please. Shopping does not need to be a family outing or recreational exercise. It's, one by one. And as you point out, it's the family gatherings that are going on. We were doing, as individuals, a lot of things last spring that we've gotten away from doing today. And frankly, some businesses, so I can tell you, grocery stores were cleaning down carts. There was sanitizer on the way in and the way out. There were limits about the number of people in. If we went back to some of the stuff that we were doing before, I think we will avoid the necessity of shutting down again. So, take some extra steps to make it easier for yourself as well as for business.
Some communities have really struggled with groups getting together and those who are not following the protocol. How busy have Clarington bylaw officers been? Your numbers are a lot better than some other communities, even here in Durham.
So this is self-serving, but I am exceptionally proud of how our staff have managed this. So we did a number of things that other municipalities didn't, and not everyone was happy with us on the fishing. There were calls and shutdowns in some areas, and we thought no. You've got to allow people to do things that bring them joy when so many other things are being taken away. So fishing, keeping trails open, keeping the beaches open, fireworks, being able to do your own fireworks. While we had to increase enforcement, while we had to put things in place, by and large, when people were asked to physically distance and to do the appropriate protocols, by and large, people did, and they did so without argument. I think when you clamp down too tightly, that's where you start getting pushback, and it can frankly be really counterproductive.
So how busy have the bylaw officers been? Have people been following the protocol, or as many other communities have found, people are just worn out and are saying, I need to live my life, and we're now seeing the result?
I think on that piece of it, perhaps people here are a wee bit, emphasis on wee bit, less worn out. Now, the flip side for bylaws, so bylaws has been exceptionally busy, but they're busy, I think, because a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands. So we're getting, a significant number of complaints, parking complaints, some neighbor versus neighbor complaints, property standards issues. So things that if you were out and about and living a regular life wouldn't be bothering you because you're not, there are irritants that are coming forward. So I can tell you, beyond doing the additional patrols because of COVID, bylaws have been quite busy. So I guess my plaintive plea would be, everyone is struggling. Let's, as much as we can, let's be kind to each other.
Yeah, I mean, the irritability, you've got to understand it, right? Everybody, but as you said, everybody is struggling. So many things have been affected by COVID. Remembrance Day services upcoming, that of course has been affected as well. Let's talk about how Remembrance Day will change in Clarington because of COVID.
So, I mean, at the beginning of this, we were talking about as close to a normal Remembrance Day ceremony might be with the parades and whatnot. That very quickly changed to we will be webcasting the Remembrance Day ceremony from Bowmanville. We can only do it from one location. There will be ceremonies across Clarington as they are, but we are asking people to please not come to the ceremonies. We've got strict limits on the crowds. There won't be a parade, single piper. The color guards, the wreaths will still be placed, but the color guard will be placing the wreaths. We've reached out to the school boards to ask that students please not come. We understand that auxiliary police will not be available. The reservists have been told to not be there, as well as cadets. So the worst thing that could happen was that one of these ceremonies becomes an epicenter. And as we just said, we're struggling with not shutting down. These are choices that individuals can make that keep us from not going back into stage 2 or a modified stage 2.
So once again, you will be live streaming from 10:30 to 11:30 on November the 11th, and people can log on to your Facebook page, the Municipality of Clarington Facebook page, correct?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to, I will ask people to look to see exactly how we're live streaming, unless you've got that information from Basha.
I do.
Okay, so yes, the answer, I should know just to follow your lead on that. So there will be people out, and we're just very worried about the crowds. In Orono, We will have to shut the road because there is no space, frankly, by the cenotaph. But just that people understand that not coming is not disrespectful. As a matter of fact, it's respecting. Some of the folks in the color guard are getting a little bit older. If a vet or two or show up, just the risk of them becoming infected is way too high, and you can respect them by buying a poppy, maybe write a check to the Legion in support of what they're doing. But it's probably more respectful to not show up. I know that sounds very odd, but it's a weird world today.
Yeah, we recently spoke with your Legion out there about the struggle that they're having. Even when you think of this is a very important time for them in poppy sales, and how do you do that? This is one of their main fundraisers. And they're struggling to try and support the veterans and raise money for their causes. And even something as simple as buying a poppy, they can't even place the poppy on somebody's lapel.
Great. So what we're doing in Clarington, I'm going to be buying boxes of poppies for staff. So they'll be available. Money that the Legion would normally have gotten through sales to staff, we're just going to do, as a purchase of poppies. Businesses might consider doing the same. So it's essentially a donation to the Legion, but rather than your employees going out one at a time, if you're in a situation where you can get a box, if there are enough people, get a box, write a check to the Legion. Everyone can recognize Remembrance Day, have their poppy. It makes it easier for the Legion. So I throw that out there for folks and organizations, and maybe bring it to, if you're the boss, consider it. If you're not the boss, maybe consider bringing it to your boss. That would be an effective way of doing a good thing.
Brilliant idea. And of course, they are also having a drive-through campaign where you can drive through branch 178 and pick up your poppy that way.
Yep.
So, all right, I'm going to hold you there. We are going to take a quick break, talk politics this week. Our guest is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster, who joins us via Zoom. Stay with us. More to come on Talk Politics after this.
Thanks, Deborah.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888-TAXI-GUY or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
Hey, do you like movies? You know I do. That's why I see all of them. And if you want to know which ones you should see too, check out the latest Cinema Scene reviews and interviews. They're hot, fresh, and delicious, and they're online at rogerstv.com/cinemascene, popcorn not included. This offer is available everywhere. Tell your friends, be the first on your block to click rogerstv.com/cinemascene. It's so nice, we have to mention it twice.
On the next episode of Cinema Scene, film critic Matt Rohrbeck joins me via Zoom to discuss post-TIFF reactions and recommendations, not to mention the ever-changing fall movie season.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen, and we're back in the studio for Season 2 of my talk show where we discover the story behind the person. Please join me right here on Rogers TV, where my next guest will be Ted Barris, who will give us some insight into Canadian history.
and welcome back to Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster, who is joining us via Zoom the day after a very, very long Durham Regional Council meeting. I want to talk about, continuing on the vein of COVID, upcoming budget discussions. How do you know where to even start when the situation changes daily and you don't know how things are going to go?
We're going to have to start with some assumptions at the outset, but you're absolutely correct. It's a difficult process. For the lower tier municipalities, for Clarington, I would suggest the impact of COVID thus far has not been that difficult. With us shutting down our recreation facilities, for example, we've actually saved a lot of money now with them reopening and all of the additional protocols and far fewer people using them. We're spending more money, just like business. Mm-hmm. We're spending more money to provide fewer services to fewer people. So that will ultimately come and catch up with us. And we are looking at, as much as a lot of people think that we shut down because we closed for a while the administrative offices to the public. They are now reopened with safety protocols in place. We have been exceptionally busy, and a lot of that driven by COVID. So if you look at what staff have had to do to enable council meetings, public meetings, committee meetings to move forward, they had to pivot very quickly, and that's gone through the entire organization. So it's difficult. Some of the obvious pressures aren't that obvious. We've got some real staffing pressures moving forward. Our planning department is overwhelmed, and this is counterintuitive, but is overwhelmed with applications right now. They're going crazy up there trying to keep up with the workflow, again at a time when everything is more difficult to do. So it's going to be a challenge, to be sure.
What is overwhelming the planning department? Like what sort of projects?
It is the volume of work. So we've exceeded the number of applications that we had in 2019. So if you can imagine, 2019 was a very slow year, but if you can imagine a year being busier than the previous year with all of the constraints and challenges of dealing with COVID, you get a sense of it. But there is a lot of business going on. This pandemic is impacting different sectors of the economy so radically differently. So the best expression I heard is someone said, "We're all in the same boat," and it was, no, we're not. We're all in the same storm, but we are in very, very different boats. So I've got staff members that we've changed their duties to keep them employed, and I've got other staff members such as planning, engineering, bylaws we were talking about, where they are being run off their feet quite literally.
So you said you saved a little money because some of the facilities were closed down, and now that they're reopening, it's costing you money, but there's also lost revenue from not having those facilities open, correct?
Correct. So it's more money, and this is the same as business. There's more money, and we're collecting revenues from fewer people. Mm-hmm. And business is dealing with exactly the same issue.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to some other issues, because as you said, there's so much going on in Clarington. Let's talk about the Anaerobic Digestive facility. It has a regional council recently approved Clarington as the preferred site for this facility. For those that are, not sure of what it is, I'm going to let you explain what this facility is for.
So the facility is, I guess the easiest description is a biodigester. So think of compost in great big sealed tanks. The joy with the biodigester is about 30% of what is going in garbage bags right now are organics, including things like diapers, pet waste that can go into a biodigester instead of going into the garbage bags.
Diapers?
Right.
Really?
Diapers, the technology. So there are different technologies that you can use, but they will put
Right.
the diapers in, and the plastic is fished out. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be pulled out, at the end of the day that isn't digested. But yeah, diapers, a lot of stuff that is in garbage now. The energy from waste facility is running at capacity. We are shipping garbage. I believe it's to New York, to the United States. That's not sustainable. We had in the past one of the states close their borders to us. So this would be a way of extending the current capacity of the EFW without having to build it bigger. So the upside is get the waste out, and the region will be required by the province to do that. The only choices will be compost or AD. I can tell you the compost facility in Curtis was problematic this year in terms of the number of days that there was a lot of odor coming off of it. I won't be thrilled with expanding that, which leaves AD. Clarington Council, and it's a NIMBY, but NIMBY is not always bad. Clarington Council is not supportive of the facility being built here. We've got that compost facility, we've got a transfer station, we've got the EFW, we've got the water pollution control plant. We think that we're doing enough to deal with waste issues. We're not opposed to AD because it will extend the life. There's been some real misinformation going on that this will increase what needs to be burned at the EFW. The region will be doing a presentation on the 2nd, by the way, so everyone should check out the web stream on November 2nd to hear what the region has to say. But it's quite the opposite. It'll extend the life of it, and there are concerns with odor, and those concerns appear to be unwarranted. I've spoken with Michael Ford is the councillor in Etobicoke. There's a big AD facility on Disco Road. I've been out there and wandered around and done the sniff test, but he doesn't get any complaints, and businesses are right against that. Another one in Elmira, I spoke to the mayor up there, and there are houses exceptionally close to that facility, and again, we're hearing that there are very few issues up there. So we'll continue to do our due diligence. Our opinion, mine included. So the information is suggesting that I'm trying to ram this through. No, Clarington voted unanimously, including myself, saying please no. And at Durham Region, the Clarington councillors, myself included, said, would we please look somewhere other than Clarington? We didn't get a lot of support from the other regional councillors, which is understandable.
Okay, we've only got about 4 minutes left, so I want to ask you about the ward boundary review. You've had plenty of public consultation sessions, virtual, another one coming up. Let's talk about the review and where you're at for that process.
So please for residents of Clarington that are watching this is fundamental to how you will be represented, at council, and everything is on the table. So the consultants have reported back to council in terms of what they are hearing. They got a bit of a rough ride, which is interesting because it is simply reflecting what the community is saying. But do you think council should be smaller? Do you think there's value in council being bigger? Should we realign the wards to have better representation? So the population differences amongst the wards are significant. Should we have wards that focus more on urban and others that focus more on rural to make sure that those specific voices are heard? Or is the overall mix ensuring that councillors hear both sets of voices? Is that important? So we really need people's input on that. It's exceptionally important.
plenty of information on the municipality's website as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's also talk, we've only got about 2.5 minutes left. I want to talk about the hospice that is planned for Clarington.
Thank you.
And the update for that.
So the hospice for Clarington, we are exceptionally close in terms of fundraising to being able to start building that facility. So the push is on. I mean, everything with the pandemic fundraising efforts came to a halt. We are starting that going again. Again, we know through the pandemic, the impact has been very uneven. Many people have found that their expenses have dropped while their revenue stayed the same. Many people, that is unfortunately not the case. Many companies are doing exceptionally well. Some companies pivoted into markets and they are busier than they have ever been. So again, if you're able, if your company is able, please go to durhamregionhospice.ca. I think I got that right. It's either durhamregionhospice.ca or durhamhospice.ca, and donate. We are so close. And when you're looking at the donate button, you can donate to either both Whitby and Clarington, or just Whitby, or just Clarington. So if you're living in Clarington, you may want to focus here, but we are so close to getting that done, and it is so important. So Deborah, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, we've only got a minute left, so I'm going to leave it to you and give you the last minute. What would you like to say to Clarington residents?
So yeah, I'm going to go back to the COVID, that it is an individual responsibility that we have, and as much as none of us want to see us go back into any form of lockdown at all, we all want to see small businesses that are owned by friends and relatives, that employ friends and relatives, that help make part of our community. The only way we're going to get out of this thing is if we take individual responsibility and work to flattening that curve. So please be vigilant. Christmas is coming up. The potential for gatherings. Be smart, please, with Halloween coming forward.
Okay.
And thank the businesses that are going out of their way to protect us.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. We are out of time, Mayor Foster. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And thanks to you, our viewers. Until next time, I'm Deborah Hutchison. Stay safe, everyone.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
The American ship is just trailing the Blue Nose.
Angus should never have agreed to this last race. She's too old.
Eddie! Coming in there! The tops are halyard back! Get to it, man! Appears there's some kind of difficulty. Seems to be something loose up there, I believe. The topsail's foul!
Just once more, old girl, and you can rest.
Her last race and still undefeated. The Blue Nose out of Lunenburg, Nova Scotia was fastest in the world for almost 20 years.